Hi, in this episode of the ECW series we're going to be looking at the Pike and Shotte Epic Battles Cavalry box from Warlord Games. This is a nice little box set. They do a cavalry box and they do an infantry box. So for this particular episode we're just going to look at the cavalry. So let's crack it open and take a look. This box is for the English Civil War Cavalry, and it's designed to be used for both parliamentarian and royalist armies. In the box you get 30 halberdiers, I can't even say that, 6 cuirassiers, 3 cornets, 9 mounted dragoons, 15 dismounted dragoons, 18 commanded shot, 3 sakers, 3 falconet light guns, 3 battalion commanders and ensigns, as well as all the plastic bases and the flags for both forces. So it's basically 3 sprues that are exactly the same, and as you can see, that is the tennis round. That there is the saker, and you get the 2 wheels there and the other crew on there on that sprue. Turn that around a bit. So you get, so that's the saker. You get 3 of those, and then you get the Falconet, which is a smaller, lighter gun, and obviously you get the rest of the crew for it. Now, saker, one of its functions would be to be loaded with shot and then fired into the mass pike ranks. So it was quite, even though it was a light gun, it was quite a deadly piece of artillery when used in that capacity. So we get dismounted dragoons as well as mounted dragoons. Now these are quite a valuable unit on the battlefield, because tactically you can use your dragoons to take objectives and keep objectives. So if you needed to capture a bridge, it would be your dragoons you'd send in, and they would capture and hold that bridge for you. And consequently, because they can either fight mounted or dismounted, that makes them quite an effective unit. You can either use them in a cavalry role, and they can fire their weapons whilst mounted, or you can dismount them and use them like a sort of light infantry skirmishing sort of role, which can hold a position such as a bridge or a road or something like that. And if that you tactically need to take and keep. We then have our heavy cavalry, and depending on the army would be different how they would be used. Now the royalists tended to like big cavalry charges with using the sword and driving into the enemy, whereas at the beginning of the sort of Civil War, the the parliamentarians tended to use them in a manner of where they fired pistols, and they would charge towards the enemy, offload all the pistols and pull away. As the Civil War advanced, parliamentarians also started to use them with the sword, clash and charging into infantry wedges and stuff like that, to break up infantry. But the royalists tended to always use that cavalry charge, that sort of dashing cavalryman role, sort of charging in, swords drawn, and attacking the enemy that way. So these are your musketeers or musket infantry, which you get I think it's 18, so it's basically a unit of those. So you get those as well as the cavalry. And like I said, it's 3 sprues. They are very well detailed for the size and scale. I mean, what Warlord has done with this scale is very well good. They've, even though it's a small scale, I mean, you've got detail on there that you would expect to see normally on a 28mm figure, but these are really well produced at this such small scale. I'm quite impressed with these, and I don't think, having got my hands on these, that I would play Civil War or that period in any other scale, unless I was just going to do skirmish, and then I'd jump up to sort of 28mm or 20mm. But for large scale battles, these are perfect. I mean, I don't know why you want to do anything other than these guys in hard plastic. These, hard plastic, they are really nice. So there are some mold lines on some of them. Overall, they're pretty clean. You'll need to get a good pair of clippers, clip them off. I have painted one of the cavalry in speed paints. Speed paints really work really well on this scale, especially the cavalry. I'll only do a test on the infantry to see how well they work on those, but speed paint contrast will work really well on this scale. Now, flags, you get a good selection of flags, and you get them for both sides, Parliament and Royalists. So in this one box you get plenty for that, to actually fit for use. And the bases, slightly different to normal. They've got these holes on. I'm not sure why, because I on the cavalry you can actually, there's like a little plug underneath, but on the infantry there isn't, and on the artillery pieces, so usually you basically plug those into those little holes. I was wondering. Anyway, so those are the bases. I mean, you could use normal Renedra flat bases. If you didn't want to use these, you just need to slice the bottom of the base flat. But other than that, yeah, it's a nice little box. Good for good price. And like I said, you can use it for either side. It's not for one faction only. You can use these across both factions, for both armies, Royalists or Parliamentarians. So that is the cavalry box. Now I will do another review looking at the infantry box, but my plan is to get these built and painted before I pick up an infantry box and start those. Okay, so that was the cavalry set. And it works for both factions. It's a nice little box set. Next, I will be looking at the infantry at some point in the next few weeks. But my plan first is to get those painted, and then I'll move on to the infantry and I'll get an infantry box.